In this tutorial, I will be showing you how to make this recipe book app using SwiftUI. Alright, so let's make a SwiftUI project using Xcode. I will name my project recipe book UI. Alright, so first and first, we should have 3 different groups or folders to make this recipe UI. First of all, we should have a view model group and also components, and last group is views. Okay, so before starting to designing our app, let's make our class. So open new file in view model and select Swift file for making our recipe class. Also name your file recipe class and continue. So first of all, we should have an struct called recipe for recipe model, and also it should be identifiable because every recipe should have own ID. First object we should have, it is an ID. I'll make it UUID, and also make new variable called title, make it string, and headline also string, and also ingredients also string, but it should be an array string because the ingredients we will add more than one. Also make another variable for instructions, also string, and last one for image, write image name, also make it string. Okay, so we finished our struct. So let's open a class for listing our recipes. So write class and recipe manager and make it observable object. So let's make and publish variable array called recipes and getting objects from recipe struct we did here. Okay, so equal open array to list our recipes. I will do copy paste from my old project. Also, you can find GitHub repository in the description. So do copy paste from my project. Okay, so let's move to views. Okay, so in views, open new Swift file and select SwiftUI view. So here write recipe view. So let's call our recipe manager class. Make observed object variable. Here just write observed object var and recipe manager, and write recipe manager class name. And down below you see in previews we should call our recipe manager class. So click fix, and here just write your recipe manager. Okay, and I prefer to display my UI as a dark mode. Also you can do by selecting this code line recipe preview, and here just select dark. You see it's adding color scheme dark here. Okay, so I prefer to design with dark mode. First of all, I will open navigation view. So let's list our recipes array first. Write recipe manager dot recipes, and here call recipe in. So now let's just display with text, so later we will design it. Write recipe dot maybe title. We can see our recipes. First of all, I will make my cart with cart component. In components, open new file with SwiftUI view, write recipe cart and call your recipe model struct like this. Okay, so also we should call in preview our model. Let's copy one of the recipes from our array and paste it there. Now let's make an VStack. Let's display our image. But before that, we should add image to our assets, right? So I will import my recipe app folder image, and also you can find that on my repository if you want to use as mine icons. Okay, so let's go to recipe card again. So also you can see we displayed our image. Great. Okay, so let's redesign our image. First of all, let's make it resizable and scale to fit. Also, let's give and frame with max height 113. Maybe it's looking good, and adding some padding. Also, we can add some shadows. Shadow color, I will make it black with opacity 0.3. And for radius, give it 4 and x 0, y 4. Okay, you see we have a shadow. Okay, so let's give it a background. So for this, we should add an image inside a VStack and give this VStack and frame maxed with infinity and also max height 200. So let's give it a background color, but I prefer to use ultra thin material background and corner radius 15. Okay, if you see, we have a background, but also let's make the recipe card and dark mode from color scheme. Okay, now looks great. Okay, so we finished our image, so let's move to titles and headlines and others. So open new VStack again, and first text, it is recipe headline, and use font dot headline also, and the foreground color is make it gray. Okay, so another text is untitled recipe dot title, make it font dot title 3, also make it bold, looks better. Let's use an alignment in VStack to leading and delete this content. Okay, and also let's make the parent VStack also alignment leading. That will be better like this. Okay, great. And also we can give this VStack some spacing, maybe 5 or 7. Okay, looks great now. Also, let's display recipe ingredients. So write recipe dot ingredients. So because it is an array, we will add a comma between them. And also let's give it a font with headline or subheadline. Make foreground color gray. So let's give a frame with 300 and height 14. Also alignment top leading. Okay, looks great. So we finished our card. Okay, so let's go back to recipe view and let's display our items or recipes with card. So here just write recipe card, recipe equal to recipe. Okay, so we displaying, but it's not looks great because we should display an horizontal scrolling and with for each, not list. But for now, let's move on to components to displaying horizontal. So open new file and select SwiftUI view, write horizontal scrolling. Again, we should call our class recipe manager in scrolling. So do copy paste. And for here, we don't need preview. So we can delete for now because we will look at our recipe view. And let's quickly add scrolling with scroll view and make it dot horizontal. And let's make indicators showing false. So write show indicators boolean, make it false like this, and add lazy edge stack or horizontal stack and displaying with for each our items, not with list. Write recipe manager recipes and make it shuffled because that will be selecting random. That will be better for your app. So and make it recipe in and display with recipe card or recipes, recipe equal to recipe from forage. And also let's give this lazy edge stack spacing 0 to display better and delete this content. So let's move to recipe view, and now we can delete this list, and under navigation view write horizontal scrolling and recipe manager equal to recipe manager. Okay, you can see we can display our items, but it's not looks great. So that's because go to horizontal scrolling and give this for each some padding horizontal. So let's go back to recipe view. So now it looks better. So let's add a scroll view for vertical, because also we will add vertical list, right? And you can give some padding vertical like this. And also let's write a navigation title called recipes. Okay, now looks better, right? Okay, so also let's give some background for our navigation view with ultra thin material. So write background and dot ultra thin material. Okay, so now let's move to vertical list. Like in this example, this part of this app. So let's move to vertical list. So here under horizontal scrolling, open new VStack and display with for each. So inside for each, write recipe manager dot recipes and write recipe in. So also we use recipe card component to display the recipes. Okay, looks great. And let's give some padding to this VStack, but let's make it just horizontal padding. And to make this background of this VStack or vertical scrolling, also you can give some background to this VStack with ultra thick, not thin material, like this. This padding, it should be vertical, but we can give some padding of this for each, not VStack for horizontal, like this. I think now it's looked better, right? Okay, so in next part, I will show you how to display the details of these recipes. Alright, so we just finished our UI in home screen with horizontal scrolling and also vertical scrolling. And in this part, I will show you how to display the detail of recipes. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so in views folder, we should add a new Swift file with SwiftUI view. Name this file recipe detail page or detail view like this and continue. First of all, we should call our model var recipe equal to our recipe model struct. And also we should display for preview to see the result in canvas. So click on fix and go to your model and select one of the recipes to display there, and I will select this one, copy this and paste it in preview recipe model. So you can just fix your code lines like this by deleting the space. For testing, I will display a text called recipe.title to see the canvas preview. Okay, we see the title. That's great. So before redesigning recipe detail view, so let's make the for each when we clicked on one of the recipe to display in detail view. I don't use navigation link. In this case, I prefer to use full screen cover to display the detail of the items. Like in this example, when I click on one of the recipe, I just show the recipe detail from full screen cover, not navigation link. For displaying full screen cover, under background ultra thin material, under this VStack, write dot full screen cover, and here we should add some variables. So add state variable called selected item or selected recipe, and here call your recipe struct. So here in item we should call our selected item variable, so just write selected recipe. So for content you can just click on it, and in here identifiable write recipe in. So for code just call your recipe detail page and recipe model equal to this recipe we called with selecting item. So go up to recipe cart and add on tab. When user clicked on one of these cards, we will get it from selected card the recipe model. Okay, when the user clicked on this, we will update this selected recipe variable. Okay, so let's test it. I will click on this. Okay, I saw my title. Okay, again I will test it. So let's click on this one. Okay, it's updating. That's great. So now we can update our recipe detail view. Okay, so let's open a navigation view there and open scroll view. So let's display with VStack. So inside VStack, first of all, I will display my image from recipe.imageName. Okay, we can see our image. Quickly make it resizable and scale to fit. Let's give some frames. For example, max height, not width, 150, and give it some padding. For example, 10. Also, let's give it a shadow color and make it black with some opacity, for example 0.3 for x.0 and y4. We can see some of the shadows. Also, let's make it dark mode. Select recipe detail view and scheme replace with dark. So give another VStack to this image so we can add a background for this. Write background ultra thin material. Also, let's give it some corner radius, maybe 15, and give it some padding. Okay, looks great. So let's move on to the text for the recipe details text, and here just so write recipe.headline and give it some font with maybe title and make it bold. Also give some padding with horizontal. Okay, we see this text now, but let's make this VStack alignment to leading to see this text on the left screen. So now it looks better. Okay, so let's move to other text. So under text headline, open new VStack. I will open new VStack because if you see on detail page, after launch or headline text, I made another area for this informations. So for this, we should have an VStack and make it alignment leading. Open new VStack again. So also make it alignment leading. So copy this text. You can paste it there. So first text, instructions. Give it some font with title 3 maybe, and also make it bold. Give it some padding for vertical. So let's display the recipe instructions text and make it font.body and foreground color that white, but let's give some opacity 0.7 maybe, looks better. And let's give some frames for this VStack. Max height infinity and alignment to top, and give it some padding. Okay, looks better, right? Okay, so under this VStack, we should open new VStack again, vertical stack, and also make it alignment leading. So we should display ingredients and make it font title 3 and also make it bold. Give some horizontal padding. So for ingredients, I prefer to display with horizontal scrolling. Under this text, open scroll view and make it horizontal scrolling and make shows indicators to false. Open lazy edge stack and make it spacing -20. So we display with for each. And open array, write recipe.ingredients and make it enumerated .element. Here just write index first and comma ingredient. So let's display the ingredient with text and write ingredient. So you see we display the text, but we should make it better design. So let's give some foreground color, white with opacity 0.7, and also give it some padding, make it 10, and make it background color ultra thin material, corner radius 5. So now it looks great, but we should give some horizontal padding. So go to under this for each, give some padding and make it horizontal. So now looks great, right? Now you can give some backgrounds to this VStack. So just find this VStack end and give some frame. So make it width infinity and height. Let's give some height with maybe 500, and let's give some this scroll view frame to fix this issue and make it maybe 100 to display better, and make this alignment bottom leading. Give some background color. Again, I will give ultra thin material. So to make it corner radius just on top of this VStack, we should add an extension. Inside view model, open new file, select SwiftUI and write extensions. I will paste my codes, and also you can go to my GitHub repository to find this codes and do copy paste from my project. So go to recipe detail view again, and let's give some corner radius to top of this VStack. Write corner radius 20, but the corners it is top left and top right. So you see it's had just corner radius to top, not on bottom. So that's it. It's finished now, but also we can give some background to whole of this full screen cover. So for making this, find this scroll view tag and go to under that, give some background with ultra thin material, and let's display a navigation title with recipe.title. Okay, so let's go back to recipe view and click one of these recipes. Okay, we can make it dark mode with adding this preferred color scheme dark, and again click one of these recipes. Okay, looks great. Everything it works great. But now if we want to go back to recipe view home, we can't. So we should add cancel or close button here, right? Like in my example on right side. Okay, so let's give it that. For this, go to recipe detail view and go top. Add this code line environment dismiss var dismiss. So go down again. Under navigation title, write navigation bar items. So write image system name and write x mark Circle.fill. You see, we display this icon. And when user clicked on it, dismiss. So now let's go back to recipe view. Select one of these items or recipes. Now we display detail page and click on X mark to close this recipe detail view. So it's working perfectly. Okay, so that was the video. Thanks for watching.